I'll talk about my thing that I do in terms of bulking, and you can elaborate on it. Like what I do, like a lot of people when they do cutting, it just there's amount of percentage that you don't exceed, so you don't lose muscle, and that's a healthy way to do it in terms of cutting. And bulking, like I see people that do it and treat it like cutting. Okay, I'll increase that amount of body weight every week, which is something I find wrong. In my opinion, what I do just add a bit of surplus, let's say 200 to 300 calories, or maybe up to 500. Your body start to rise, and it just maintain. And I stay at that maintain weight until I see stall in performance and stall in progression, and just up the surplus a bit. What do you think of this strategy? Is it good, or just maintain a surplus, maintain a progression and body weight no matter what? Or is it like there is an amount of body weight rise that you aim every week?
Well, Mo, you mentioned that it is your opinion that people shouldn't be gaining weight really, really fast. And I would say it's also backed by data. We have a number of studies now, and we're actually just in the process of having a study we did here at AUT in peer review that should be getting it on the preprint server soon, which I'll share, where you compare different groups trying to gain weight at different rates or different sizes of surpluses. There's a study by Garth et al. I think it's actually pronounced Gartha. They're Scandinavian. Ina Garth. I apologize for Americanizing your last name. But anyway, they had athletes who were going on a bulking phase, and they were either instructed by sports dietitians to get into a pretty large surplus, or hey, do this on your own. The goal was to gain weight. And these aren't bodybuilders, so they didn't get into a huge surplus, right? They're like athletes. And they did like an upper lower split on top of their sports training, like typical kind of hypertrophy training, right? And the group that was instructed by sports dietitians was eating 600 calories on average more per day than the group that was not. And they gained about 5 times as much weight, and it was all body fat, the amount more than the other group. The other group just gained slowly. And the only differences between groups was in performance, only significant differences. And I think the 40-meter dash and the jump height was worse in the group that gained a bunch of weight because they weighed more. But all the other differences were non-significant. They were leaning a little bit in favor of the group that gained more weight. Like if you looked at the lean body mass, it was non-significantly higher. Strength was non-significantly higher. But it really didn't seem worth it, So there is absolutely a limit to how much muscle you can gain in a given time period. And it's related to how much training experience do you have? How close to your genetic ceiling are you? How effective is your training? And what does the quality of your diet look like? But for the most part, I typically don't recommend people gaining any faster than say like 1% of body weight per month, and a more novice maybe as fast as 2% of their body weight per month. But we're talking someone who's been lifting less than 6 months in that case, because based on the data we're soon to publish, when you try to push it faster than that, you might be gaining a little bit more muscle, but it's way outpaced by the amount of body fat you're putting on top of it. So it's typically not worth it unless your goal is to just put on size, regardless of whether it's of the composition. Like maybe you're a American football lineman and you just need to be bigger, so it's harder to push you over, and you want muscle and fat. Or you're a sumo wrestler, or you're a equipped powerlifter who benefits from just their body stretching out the equipment. A lot of super heavies will be like, yeah, I put on body fat and I get stronger. So I mean, for certain performances, yeah. But for a bodybuilder who has to eventually diet all that off, putting on too much body fat actually makes their next season harder. So it pays to be a little more conservative. And that's exactly what I generally recommend is a smaller surplus the closer you are to your genetic ceiling, and just kind of nudging up those calories. Because it's also difficult to gauge changes in muscle mass, right? When you're gaining muscle slowly. And there's a lot of things that get compiled into the body weight that you see on the scale first thing when you step on in the morning. If you have higher fiber diet, higher sodium diet, more water, you had your higher carbs that day. If you just had more weight of foods but the same amount of calories, your body weight will fluctuate 2-3% on a day-to-day basis. Now, if you have a very consistent diet, that can help, but ultimately, I'm normally, when I'm coaching someone or if I'm modifying my own nutrition and my goal is to gain weight, I take a 2 or even 3 week average, like a rolling average. A really great app for that is Happy Scale. It can kind of give you this rolling average body weight over, like, gives you your 10-day high, your 10-day low, and a corrected body weight. You can also just make Excel spreadsheets for this or Google Sheets. But anyway, looking at like a 1 minimum to preferably week average and comparing averages week to week to week and seeing it go up just like 0.5%, because if you gain 0.5% of your body weight every week, that's 2% per month, which is kind of like the fastest you'd go. So it requires patience, and it requires kind of changing your mindset if you've been reading like enhanced bodybuilders' social media posts or what's normal on that side of the fence, because you don't have the same help. And trying to gain muscle faster than that is probably going to it'll put the weight on, but it won't be necessarily weight that you want.